Hello, and welcome to the Good 5 Cent Cigar Newscast. I'm Ellie Sennhenn. Thank you so much for joining us. This week, we will explore the Mystic Aquarium, go behind the scenes of a student TV show, and celebrate URI achievements, and more. Then, we will have all things URI athletics covered in this week's Rhody Sports Corner. Have you touched a stingray before? Students who attended the Rhody Adventures trip have. Morganne Judd documented a special trip to the Mystic Aquarium. Take it away, Morganne.
We're currently outside the Memorial Union, but we won't be here for long. We're going on an adventure, a Rhody adventure. Today, we're going to the Mystic Aquarium.
The Rhody Adventure took place from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and for $15, students were granted admission into the aquarium. Inside, students were able to see a variety of different aquatic life.
What was your favorite part of the Rhody Adventures Mystic Aquarium trip today?
I really like to see all the animals and hang out with my friends.
I agree. I really liked definitely the stingrays, like touching the stingrays, and I also liked the penguins. I think they're really cute and fun.
Well, the variety of animals in there, and well, I love the penguins and belugas, so it was really funny to see. And well, we saw a show, sea lion show, and it was really nice.
Obviously the penguins. I like the penguins, but we just got done watching the feeding of the beluga whales, and they're very vocal. And then we had 40 students that came on the Rhody Adventures trip to Mystic Aquarium. I've never been here before. I had a great time.
This has been Morganne Judd with the Good 5 Cent Cigar Newscast. Now let's head back to URI.
Thanks, Morganne. Ever wonder what it's like to write, produce, and host a TV show? Ryan Pelillo will highlight a weekly show run out of URI Professor Keith Brown's film class.
Most students at the University of Rhode Island have probably had a class inside of the Chafee Social Science Center. What most students might not know about are some of the productions that go on inside. Today, we're going to take a closer look at 20-somethings.
20-somethings, a show by 20-somethings for 20-somethings, is a weekly talk show produced by URI Professor Keith Brown Monday nights at 6 p.m. As part of the course Film 351, students get to work on camera as well as behind the scenes. Brown likes to take more of a backseat role, leaving the show up to the discretion of his students.
My role as a professor is to keep the content moving. We come up with ideas to shoot every week for segments, and then we work with the production team in the broadcast studio to figure out how best to make it happen. The talk show segments are pretty standard now, but then every semester students have different ideas for segments. Like this year, we have a game show, so it's like, what do we need for that? So it's to sort of keep it moving, help with the production of the show, and to sort of encourage students to be creative.
Creativity certainly flows in the studio, as this season has already covered topics such as superhero movie trailers and AI. For hosts, there's no shortage of good laughs to be had.
I would definitely say that the tension between the hosts is nothing short of hateful and mean-spirited, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So,
the process of putting together a weekly talk show is nothing short of a collaborative effort. It takes the collective minds of 20-somethings to make the show happen.
Right now, I'm primarily the producer for the talk segments. I'll help the talent come up with things that they want to talk about, and then I'll help them find the resources and kind of help them pose interesting questions so that we can make for an interesting segment.
And of course, no show is ever perfect. An important lesson to learn is how to adapt and overcome obstacles on a weekly basis.
I feel like as like a person who's like coming into film, everything always looks so like crisp and smooth, but I guess it's kind of funny to see how many things like can go wrong because it's kind of like a million, but then you're just like, we got to work it out.
From the chaos, the controlled laughter, and everything in between, 20-somethings airs weekly on their YouTube at 20-somethings TV. From the Good 5 Cent Cigar, I'm Ryan Pelillo. Back to you.
Thanks, Ryan. This February, URI achieved a top-tier status for its research and scholarship. Stephen Russo has the story.
My name is Stephen Russo. We're here with the Good 5 Cent Cigar. I'm right outside of Avedisian Hall and the Biochemistry Building. We're going to ask some students how they feel about URI achieving the R1 status, making it the highest end research institution in the United States. So I'm here with
Ethan Wilkinson.
All right, Ethan. So you told me that you were a what was it again?
Biology.
So you're a biology major, so did you know that URI recently became an R1 institution?
I did actually. One of my friends is doing research with a professor here, and that was like significant for him.
And what do you think is, what are your feelings on it? Do you think it's a great idea?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. You know, I'm a STEM major. I'm all for, scientific improvement, so I think it's a really good thing.
Thank you so much, man.
I think it's fire. For me, at least in our department, I know a lot of our professors are involved in really great research, and they've been creating a lot of grants. So I think that it really reflects our research capabilities.
I am here with
Michael Norton.
All right, Michael. So as you know, URI just recently became an R1 institution for research. So that means we are in the top tier in the United States. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that feels pretty good. It's really exciting, and I know a lot of the faculty and undergraduates and grad students have been putting in a lot of work, to make that happen and accomplish all of our research goals.
I think it's great. Let alone funding that the school is going to receive on top of what they already were because of the new designation as an R1 school. But I think it's just great for the STEM programs here as well. With engineering and health sciences being sort of the backbone of the university, I think it's great.
All right. Do you have any friends or anybody you know that are currently doing research or in the STEM field?
I do not, but I wish anyone that is the best.
This is Stephen Russo for the Good 5 Cent Cigar.
Thanks, Stephen. Now, Kat Sheridan will review federal orders issued by President Donald Trump.
I'm here at the University of Rhode Island to learn more about President Marc Parlange's website to educate students on the new executive orders.
We have a leadership team that is looking at federal actions, and this is a team that was appointed by President Parlange. I chair it, and it is a subset of members from the President's Executive Council. So these are largely vice presidents of different areas, including, for example, the vice president of CED. So we have those areas, we have research, we have these other areas that have been impacted so far, or at least suggested to be impacted so far by these executive orders. And there are a number of executive orders. There's also a lot of litigation that's going on too right now. So it's really seeing what the process is and what transpires. This team is trying to look at those, assess them, monitor them, and trying to understand what are the implications for our community.
There are 4 main areas that this committee is looking at, according to Wolf. These are research, specifically the financial aspect of USAID and IDC, or indirect costs, education and ensuring financial aid so students have access to high-quality education, support for international students and employees, as well as DEI in comparing what is the law versus what is being said.
Community. And that's what this team is trying to do, is to understand what's the data and what is the law so that we can respond, or at least plan to respond appropriately to what's before us. And we're meeting 2 to 3 times a week because things, again, are rapidly changing. And we remain committed to our values here at the University of Rhode Island, which includes dignity and respect for everyone and their rights.
I'm Kat Sheridan with the 5 Cent Cigar.
Now, we will look at what's going on this week at URI. Itching for some sun? On Friday, student groups are leading a rapid-fire campus cleanup at 4 p.m. Join Student Senate, Student Action for Sustainability, and more outside of the Memorial Union. Also on Friday, a group of artists are showing their works in Lippett Hall. Observe Defining Color and Texture, starting at 8 a.m. into the evening. The exhibit will continue into mid-March. Throughout the weekend, URI Theater is putting on their student-run play, Bacchae. Head to the Fine Arts Center J Studio to watch a new version of a Greek tragedy. Women's basketball is taking on GW at the Ryan Center on Saturday at 1 p.m. Finally, men's basketball will face off UMass this weekend. Watch the Rams this Saturday on ESPN Plus at 6 p.m. And with that, joining us with this week's Rhody Sports Corner, Ryan Pelillo will have all things Rhody athletics.
Thanks, Ellie. Hello and welcome back to the Rhody Sports Corner, your place for all updates across URI athletics. I'm Ryan Pelillo. After starting their inaugural season 2-0, the women's lacrosse team fell to Rider University at home on Saturday. Gerard Villemenay has the story.
On Saturday afternoon, the University of Rhode Island's women's lacrosse team hosted Rider University at Meade Stadium. Rhode Island fell to the Bronx 13-12 in a game that went down to the wire. Rhode Island and Rider battled it out at Meade Stadium until the clock hit 0 in the fourth quarter. Even though this is the first loss for URI this season, Rhode Island head coach Jenna Slowey still has a positive outlook on the season.
Yeah, I just said to my assistants, I feel like every opportunity, because we are so young and we are so new, is an opportunity to learn.
The Bronx had a 7-6 lead on the Rams going into halftime. The battle continued in the second half with Rhode Island displaying great offensive and defensive play. However, Coach Slowey took note on what her team needs to work on heading into their next matchup.
If we're not learning something from this, then we're not going to move forward. So, being in a position where the draws are a little bit more important, right? If we squeak out a couple more draws or a couple more ground balls.
The Rams attempted 21 shots while the Bronx had 31 shots.
Rider is a new program as well, but they have an extra year under their belt. They have some a great transfer from Rutgers and some high firing power offensive players. So, I thought we just got to connect a little bit more from one side of the ball to the other.
The Rams will return to Meade Stadium on March 15th to face off against St. Bonaventure University. Reporting from outside of Meade Stadium, my name is Gerard Villemenay, Rhody Sports Corner.
Thanks, Gerard. Now we're going to take a look at some of the other scores around campus. We start off with men's basketball, who fell to St. Louis 81-66 on the road on Saturday. The women's basketball team took on UMass as a conference rival one final time in Amherst on Sunday, where they won 42-40. Baseball traveled across the country to face off against a number 11 ranked Oregon team for a weekend series, where they lost 3 of 4. The softball team traveled to Charleston, South Carolina to compete in the Low Country Classic, where they went 1-4. Both men's and women's track and field competed in the Brown Invitational on Saturday. The men's team finished 4th out of 10, while the women's team finished 5th out of 11. Women's swim and dive wrapped up its season with A10 championships, finishing 10th out of 11. Women's tennis took on Stonehill on Saturday and Sacred Heart on Sunday, winning both matchups. And lastly, the golf team competed in the World Golf Village Collegiate in St. Augustine, Florida, where they finished tied 5th of 16 teams. That's all for this week's edition of the Rhody Sports Corner. To stay updated with all things URI athletics, follow us on X at @cigar_sports. Back to you, Ellie.
Thanks, Ryan. That's all we have for you this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to follow us here and on Instagram at Rhody Cigar and pick up our paper anywhere on campus to stay up to date with your Rhody news. For online news, Google Rhody Cigar. Until next week, I'm your host, Ellie Sennhenn, and this is the Good 5 Cent Cigar Newscast. Have a great week, Rhody.